Hi, hello, welcome to the stream. Wow. 1 second. OBS crashed on me about 3 times before starting, so teeny tiny bit late. But that's okay. At least it's working at the moment. Uh, so I just want to say that I finished the Unectus picture, and if you want to see it, I've already posted it on my socials, and if you want to know what those are, they're in my description. Also, I'll be studying today, as I have yet to tackle this project that I was supposed to do last year, but never got around to it. So with that being said, I'm going to attempt to practice it here. I believe I practiced it here several times before. I didn't like the way they turned out. This was from last week. This was the best out of... Best out of 5. You want to see the other attempts. I mean, I always stop when it gets a little bit wonky. If it's not proportional, then it's time to stop and start over. It's best to start over than to correct. So with that being said, I'm just going to get right into it. I can't show the reference because it's a nude model. Also, I think I'll get in trouble regardless of that, because the reference material does not belong to me, so it's not really for me to share, especially to the public. Oh, excuse me. Hello, beautiful drawings. Thank you very much. Lawn. Thank you very much. And welcome to the stream. Let me just pop this out real quick. There we go. Now I can see you. Over. Alright, I usually have an add-on that shows this chat, but OBS isn't allowing that for some reason. So I'm gonna have to have a workaround. Anyway, let's get started. I'm gonna start with the measurement. I think I already done that. I've made a note that this pose is 5 heads tall. The laying pose, the back is turned to me. Also, something of note, whenever I draw digitally for practice, I don't use the undo tool. It's just eraser and pencil, or a brush in this regard. Because you can't take this offline. Okay. Shoulders are at an angle. Her left shoulder is at her chin. What software are you using? You thought it was Photoshop, but you were curious by the animation tab on the right. Well, this is Clip Studio Paint. I have the Pro version. This is also version 3. I recently upgraded to version 3 after I did a computer format. Upper left. Yeah. Yeah, this is Clip Studio. I don't know how to animate in Clip Studio Paint Pro, because I've never tried it. draw the shape of her head. This is a female model. I just want to get this going. Another thing I should do is this. Comparative angles. Just to make sure I'm not superseding the edge of that shoulder. Go straight. This one goes at a slight angle. Okay. So the reason why I want to do this is for my quiz, which is going to be done on pencil and paper. But I wanted to practice it here just so I can understand what the heck I'm looking at. The irony of back poses is that despite the fact that there's little detail back there, it's still hard to achieve. Mostly because I'm have to rely on different bony marks such as the scapula and the spine and the hips. Maybe exaggerating the spine a bit, but maybe that's a good thing. I think my problem with drawing her is that I make her upper body too wide, but it looks very wide to me because it's getting extended from the turn of her body. Those lines are smooth. You can't draw like this. I usually just make a mess with a lot of doodles pretending it's a person. This is a skill I had to learn myself. My lines were never this clean or smooth. So I had to do a lot of, essentially, this or this just to get smooth lines. I did that over the course of 2 years just to get the hang of drawing a straight line like this. Imagine drawing like hundreds of boxes just to figure out how to draw a straight line. There you go. And how I got to do that was that I had to learn how to draw with my shoulder, not with my wrists, which was very hard to do. I make it look so simple. It does seem that way, huh? Sorry here. But it was never simple when I first learned. It was very difficult when I first learned. Because I had to, like I said, I had to learn how to draw from my shoulder, which was something I never did before. Because you know, like when you first start drawing, you're drawing from your wrist, or you're drawing like this, you're drawing like that. And my instructors told me that when you draw with your wrists, you're doing a lot of detailing, but you're not doing a lot of gestures. And with gestures, you have to actually use your entire body. In that regard. Give me. So let's see. I'm trying to keep in mind of this pinch of her hip. Well, between her hip and her torso. So I want to keep this in mind. And this shape is more out. It's around that part, I believe. Let me measure again. About 2 3/4 down the head shape. It's curly hair. About 2.5 head. You just measure it here. Seems about right. You have to go eat, but amazing work. You subscribe to your channel. See you and take care. Thank you, Lou the Lawn. Thank you for subscribing. You take care as well. I hope your meal's delicious. Hmm. This is a bit. I realized the shape is too big. The angle's correct. The shape is too big. Maybe a little bit longer. Makes a lot more sense. Hmm. I'm gonna keep my hand off the undo button. It's too tempestuous. When things go into shadow, they become too hard to move. So with that being said, I have to leave this part of the hip as is and conduct the rest of the other leg. Very visible. Width seems correct, but the shape is not correct. Draw a diagonal from the head to the knee. With some space between the shoulder. I can't let it drop down too much, otherwise I won't have space for her. I think this should be higher. Hope that one day I become a bit more confident in my decision making, so that I can avoid all this erasing. Measure again. Foot, meet bottom of C. We're shortening up the path. Ugh. I'm gonna have to fix more back to it. Pretty sure this overlaps like so. Big toes. So that foot needs to match the size of her head. Little pig. Whenever I draw a gesture, especially for feet, I just draw the pinky toe and the big toe. These are just markers. They'll come in later. The rest will come later. Both toes are essentially the bounce of the foot. Part of the bounce of the foot. Down. Uh-oh, ran into a problem. Shape is incorrect. That leg is going backward. This is important. I'm going like this. Happening back there. Whole section. I'm being a bit. Wish I had my ruler. Then I won't have to use my stylus as a ruler. Heat match. Oh, rose for good other times. Thank you for hello, heliophysics. Welcome to the stream. Studying. Doing a figure study for my quiz, but I'm doing it digitally first, so that when I do it on paper, it can come as close to accurate as possible. Because right now I'm having trouble with the pose. I've already failed this pose about 4 times. You need to draw and you want to, but you've had final exams all this week, so your brain is mush. Then you should give your brain a break. And just draw for pleasure. Just doodle for pleasure. It doesn't have to be like anything finished. Something as a means of decompressing. Forgive me. Yeah, that's kind of what you're doing right now. Next week we will try to actually finish a piece. Maybe, hopefully. I finished a piece recently. It was for the Year of the Snake. I finished it the last time I was on stream, and I've already posted on my socials, which are in the description if you want to check those out. You want to tune in more of your streams? You thought you had notifications and you realized you didn't. Oops. Oh, so you're one of my subscribers. Well, my schedule has changed. I'll be streaming from Tuesdays to Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that lasts about 2 hours, so I usually end around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I think this is what works best for me. There's a lot less interruptions at this hour. I don't have to worry about stopping and going or canceling my streams. Okay, 4 to 6 is usually when you get home from school, so you'll probably be able to join in for a little. Ah, thank you very much. Today was easier since you left early due to. Well, I hope you pass. I know that feeling of like studying, and you're like, "Ooh, did I pass?" People worry too much, and I think that should give themselves a little bit of a bit of some grace, especially if you've been working hard. Yeah, do that. Hard. Here. Wait. Oh, I forgot to check. That's it. Did I? I'm like ahead of myself. Yeah, I did that right. Perfect. Same. You have art one tomorrow. Ooh. Oh, so you take art at school as well. For me, my art classes are online. I typically have to wait for a grade. Thankfully, I pass most of them most of the time. Just drawing the shapes here. You just take art classes because you like art. You never end up learning anything because you learn better by yourself. Yeah, that is true. The art of learning. Gosh, that didn't make sense. The art of learning art is usually a solitary experience because it's a lot of observational study, and memorization. And I think that's what I'm going through right now. Especially since I'm looking at this image, I have to keep squinting to see what the heck I'm looking at. I see some bone here, but there's muscle here. I don't know. Shadows are also throwing me off in this picture, so there's that. Also gonna put in her arm. Let's see, her hand is. Yeah, your 2025 art goal is to do more studies or just everything because you focus more on people right now. Ah. I believe that's one of my goals as well. My goals are to just finish my work. Uh, which is something I had trouble doing for years now. I would just start something and just never finish it. Either through the misfortune of losing that image or just it getting corrupted and I can't find it again. Or just looking at my artwork and thinking that it's not worth finishing. So my goal is to actually finish my work and I guess be a little more constructively critical of myself. instead of just being emotionally critical of myself. Hello, same struggle so much with finishing stuff, so you're trying to get back on the old works of progresses. You just I'm sorry, you just struggle because you get demotivated or think, damn, this sucks. Exactly. That's the reason why, like, I remember finishing some stuff, and then I look back at it and I'm just like, ew, I didn't like what I did here. I see all the mistakes. Like, why did I finish this one and not that one? So it's a little bit of not finishing stuff and a little bit of regret of finishing the wrong thing. Because I take a look at my stuff and like, oh, that could have been spent more time on the oven. In the oven, I could have cooked a bit more with that and it just wound up being burnt. But then again, all those years ago, I think my art was just bad in general because of how I've learned how to draw. Most of my learning experience has been unguided, by which I mean I just drew from tutorials, followed other artists, and see how they worked, and that never truly panned out for me. So now that I'm taking a class for it, or an online course for it, I have a bit of guidance. So I know what I'm looking for. Yeah, another one of your art goals is to draw more for fun instead of focusing more on does this look good and stuff. Yeah, because when you draw for fun, it winds up turning out well. Like, like I said, the piece that I finished, I did that for study, and then I just wound up finishing it because it just looked that good. I worked so much on it. I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna take this and just finish it. And then I have my other stuff, those head portraits I made on my channel. Those are also done for study, but studying to me is fun. Which is funny because I do get frustrated sometimes, but still though, there's a pleasure in improving. Because I can see myself getting better. This line is too hard in. There we go. This needs to shorten a bit. I've also learned the art of slowing down, which was my problem before. I never really slowed down and took a look at what the heck I was doing. I was just drawing just for the sake of it. Just copying whatever. Hoping it looks good. You enjoy studying too. One of your favorite things to do is to look through old art and just be like, wow, okay, I didn't know I actually improved that much. Yeah, isn't it cool? You see stuff that's not even a year old, not even a year ago, and you somehow improved so much. Like, wow. I should, like, try to find my old stuff. I wish I still had the stuff from all those years back. But I think, despite the file corruption, just some stuff I just deleted out of frustration. I shouldn't have done that. I should have done that emotional and just delete all that stuff. Because it would have been cool to look back at it and just draw it again. With like a newfound eye. New improved eye. But coulda, woulda, shoulda. Oh well. What's done is done and I can't undo that. So I just have to keep going forward. Oops. You wish you can log into your old tablet with your old drawings and go back to when you first started digital. Yeah, me too. I wish I had my old computer with all my old drawings too, but now that I think about it, my old drawings were in Microsoft Paint, so do I actually want to go back to those? I don't think so. My first drawing program was Microsoft Paint. I eventually got Photoshop, but I never could learn from. I can never retain the information from learning how to use Photoshop because how much Photoshop changes with every version. So I kind of just gave up. Which sucks because, you know, there are people who do amazing work in Photoshop. What am I doing? That's not how our wrist looks. It's embarrassing, but your first drawing program was one of those pixel art sites until you got Ibis Paint. We all have to start somewhere. We all have to crawl before we can walk. Walk before we can run. I know the instinctual thing is to do is to be is to be embarrassed, but we all have to start somewhere. This looks okay so far. Feels like her scapula's too. Her shoulder blades look a little bit short. I have to extend it a bit more. There we go. I'm not sure if I captured this side very well. It still looks too straight. Yeah, it's a bit too straight. Even though I got the angle of the shoulders right. This side, it's not slacked enough. That's why her arm looks a little short. My drawing photo. I mean, everything's placed as is, but if I were to look, I should give myself a break. This is practice after all. Maybe the arm needs to be bent a little, not a lot. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure either. The thing is, like, her arm is straight because she's using it as support. But what I mean is, like, this shape on the photo is more lean. Looks more like this way. Like she's leaning more on her arm. I kind of wonder where I went wrong. So I realized this space is not wide enough. Maybe that's it. I think that's it. The space is not wide enough. So let's use a tool to quickly delete that. get rid of this arm momentarily. Whoop. Yeah, that was another thing that bugged me during my art progress. I was always afraid to break something. Always afraid to delete or just trash it entirely. But I learned how to let go. Let me just erase this too. This, I think it goes more out. You too, you struggle with it a little, but you're getting better. I think learning to let go is also important as an artist. I know how it feels to just work so long on something and to be like, oops, I'm just gonna throw it away. There'll be more, and they'll be better. It's just best just to just toss it and just start again rather than just focus on correcting everything. Excuse me. Let me check the angle again. Nailed it. Yes, this is the correct angle. Now the arm should make a bit more sense. It reminds me of my frustrations of my previous art. Like, I have to throw it out? Like, yes, you have to throw it out. Discard the garbage. Make new garbage. Make better garbage. Eventually you won't have garbage. You'll have actual something that you like. Something that's more correct, something that's more accurate. I'll need to go further, a little bit out. Yeah, that's the problem I'm having. Extend the shoulder a bit more. Some leeway. My line back. Now that negative space, right? This negative space now makes more sense. The arm isn't completely straight. It shouldn't be completely straight. And also that's another problem with drawing from a reference, like a photo reference. Because a camera only has one lens, it's going to distort the image a lot. So what we see with our own eyes is vastly different. Well, it could be vastly different from what a camera sees. Just gonna put this here. Also, I realize the space between here makes more sense now that I corrected that arm. You know what I need to do? I need to go back to my quick, what is it called? Quick sketch. Because I'm sorely missing out on that. Yeah, your art teacher usually has us draw from real life rather than still image because it's more accurate. Your art teacher training you how to see. And while it's nice to look at a photo because you know it'll be still forever, you're gonna have to learn to work around how the model moves, the live model if you're using a live model. You're gonna have to deal with that. I think I'm looking down at this section of the arm. And kind of the same with this one. Not that extreme. There we go. Now I have an arm that's a bit... Okay, now I realize it's not as straight. But it's a step in the right direction. There's a good distance here. And a good distance here. And more importantly here. Although I could fix the hand a bit more. I'm gonna break this arm again just to check something, but I'm gonna leave it as is. There's my third. Just check something. So in the photo, it kind of looks like this, which looks too stiff. Also, the spacing between the hand and her hip is a lot wider than if I were to like draw it like this, which is why I extended it this way. If it was pushed in a bit more. I suppose that's fine too, but I'm not gonna commit. This is the part of the body that I have trouble with. This arm is going forward. I don't want to hide the... thing is, you can't see the bend of her elbow, and it's also angled. So it's going down this way. And it's disappearing this way. That could just be me. I'm always like conscious about shoulders because I often draw them too small. Whether it's for a real person or fictional OC, I always draw them too small, so I'm a bit touchy about shoulders. But then there are times where I draw them too big. So I always have opposite problems. Maybe you struggle with shoulders, either they're too big or too small. I wonder if that elbow should be bigger. Maybe if I drew it like that, it makes more sense. Now I can just see the elbow straight up. Oh, welcome to the stream, Hedgecat. What you said? You're a little late. You got carried away with doodling. That's fine. I know you're working hard. Welcome back. I think you're only about an hour late, which is oh, I'm doing a figure study. Great. This figure study is for an online course. I put it off for a while. Like, I was doing the course. I got all the way up to the end, and then I just forgot all about it. So I put it off up until now. I really want to get around to doing it. I can almost see her ear, but it's behind her hair. Also can't see any of her face. And she has curly hair. I don't want to yada yada the shape of her hair, but I don't think I've ever drawn curly hair for this course, especially hair this curly. Can't tell if it's pinned up or cut. Very short in the back. One of your OCs has curly hair, but you struggle with it a lot. Yeah, it's just all those spirals. Yeah, then you have to think about the 3D shape of the spirals. Right? Even that's a mess. Oh my gosh. But this is what it looks like around her face. So I'm kind of using a shortcut of just drawing the basic shape of the curls. After all, this is just a final project practice to see if I can just understand what I'm looking at. The detailing will come later, and essentially I have to put in the shadows. Alright, let's go back. Check for correct. Do which will automatically see here. There's a lot of light coming from the top. Maybe I should put this in a different layer and see what the heck I'm doing. Everything's disappearing into the black ink. I like to use blue. Shadow starts here. Because her hair is casting a shadow on her back. Means there is a shadow pattern here. This light's coming from what feels like this. I shouldn't say feel like, it is coming from that way. It's above her, but it's going downward. So all the shadows that are just hitting her right here. I should say that this part of the essentially drawing the shape of the shadows, how they fall in the water. Of course, this is not my charcoal pencil, so getting the soft parts is a bit difficult to do, which is why I have to increase the size of the brush. Not really ideal, but it's just my workaround. Another thing my instructor said is that cast shadows always have sharp edges, and regular shadows that fall on the form always have soft edges. And that's something you have to think about when you create shadows on your figure. And it's also something you should consider when you're making your own OCs. Like, how is the light hitting them? What is being cast from their face? Like, imagine yourself putting your hand up to shield your eyes from the sun, and that the shape of your hand would cast a shadow on your face. How strong would that shadow be? Yes, you want to draw more with strong shadows because for some reason you're scared of them. Most artists are scared of them. That's why all their shadows are soft. I mean, granted, there are soft shadows, soft edge shadows, but that's not all shadows. Oh, I hit a mistake. Try to erase that. It's hard to hear where the elbow is. That way. I think a cool thing that I did learn is about gradient shadows, which is what I'm looking at here with this lady. So let's imagine, oh, it's gonna be on her back. So I'm gonna make another layer just to demonstrate. Even though the light is hitting her from above, her back is creating a gradient-like shadow, which looks like this. It's going up her back. Because even though the back is, well, it's in itself an S-curve, there's always like a soft shadow down here because light doesn't quite reach this part because of the rib cage. Actually, the gradient is more like on this side. And it's really cool to put that into the picture, especially when you go over it. It's something that I did with another quiz. And it was pretty fun doing that. Because I really like that effect of a gradient shadow making the figure look not only more realistic, but also more like a solid figure on a page. You're actually excited for your art exam because you're curious about the questions where you need to draw. Ooh. What did you have to draw though? Oh, X here. Here. Alright, something that I've learned through I guess comic book making history and through the art instructor himself is that uh, when working in the comic book industry and you're using pencils, you need to have a quick way to tell the inker to put something in shadow. So what they would do is create the shape but put a little X in there. And that tells the inker, hey, this is a shadow. Of course, in American comic book, that shadow is just one solid color, which is just black. So there's just a need for one X. But because I'm doing this on digital, I'm doing two X's to tell me that that's a different shadow that needs to be darker. That's actually pretty cool. You didn't know that beforehand. Yeah, I didn't know that either. But yeah, I think that's something you should take with you if you're doing the shadow mapping thing. Just tell yourself, give yourself a note and put an X right there so you know what needs to be in shadow. Because I know for sure if you're doing this with one medium, you're not using two different colors, you're gonna get really confused really fast. I want to say wrinkles because that's just the natural wrinkles of the skin being folded up. I don't know if I'm going to put that level of detail in the shadow yet. There's the shape of her shoulder. Okay. Okay, here comes the. I don't know if I want to call this the easy part. That's just her spine. It's not one big shape. Just have a cast. Get big here. I did that wrong. So, because I'm drawing realistically, I have to bend the shadow towards her muscle. Shadows have to wrap around a form after all. I'm gonna fix the cast shadow. It's going this way actually, then going up. One thing about the spine is that the erector muscle has two planes. So let's say this is the spine, but you have the muscle looks like that. That's why you can have like a shadow here, but not here. And then you can have like a shadow here, but not here. This is where the spine goes. And this is how the muscle works. Think of it as like a I don't want to say a trough, but that's the first thing that comes to mind. Maybe more like a valley. It's more like a valley. That's what the back looks like, especially with those muscles on the spine. And if you look at other artists, they also keep that in mind in their anatomy when they draw back poses. This is a total of 4 planes, so that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Very carefully just fill this in. My brush. Again, just so I know that this is a different shadow. Another thing my instructor told me is to shade in the direction of the form of that you're working on. So if you're working on a cylinder, like an arm, you have to go in that direction. But it's important to just stick with one direction. I know people tend to like do this or do this, but if you do this, you have more uniformity and control. You can also do more corrections when you do that. Moving outward from where I cast. Oh, I marked it off. I kind of wonder if he still does that though. If you're curious about my instructor's name, his name is Brian S. Knox, and he has his own uh, online school. It's called the Foundation School. He is on YouTube if you want to check him out. I believe his YouTube channel is called the Foundation School. But he is a very good teacher. Like his art style is very, very beautiful. I like how smooth his lines are, and I like how sleek the designs he makes. Even though he's one of the younger instructors, I prefer his style over the OG. Don't get me wrong, the OG's art is very, very beautiful, but it looks really old-fashioned and like messy in its own weird, chaotic way. You prefer the way it looks when it's sticking in one direction, yeah. Hold on, I'm going to actually put other. This part is very. I don't. I don't think this part is necessary, and when it comes to my art quiz, I still want to do it, just so I can see, just so I can capture all the shadows I can see. Already found a fault in my work. This shadow should not be touched. This shadow, the spine should not be this close to the pinch of her torso. Very small. I believe this is called a core shadow. And what that is it's a shadow that's bouncing off of another shadow and it gets created into this darker spot on the surface. So those usually pop up in places where it's already between two surfaces. And that's different from an occlusion shadow because that's the darkest dark. So, for example, let me just draw a cylinder here. Let's give it a shadow that's going in this direction. So, an occlusion shadow, spell it out. A shadow that's really deeply recessed against the subject and the shadow start. Then there's the regular shadow. The thing about occlusion shadows is that it eventually softens out. And then there's the core shadow, which I'm gonna. This is the base shadow, and here is the core shadow. And this gets created. This here. Core shadow. This gets created because it's bouncing off of this. So light is bouncing shadow back into the surface and creating this dark edge here. Just blend this out. It gets softened the more in light it comes. But it also gets diffused as well. Core shadows are never a solid bit. It's always just this fuzziness, but it's always dark. And you can't really put them everywhere. They have to be in places that make sense. I know people look at those and think that, oh, it's cool to put those everywhere, but you're kind of like screwing yourself over when you do that, because then it doesn't look as nice as you hope. But also, another cast shadow. That's more of an occlusion shadow because it's getting wedged beneath these two feet. Alright, let's go back to my sketch. Correction here. Also, it's never a good idea when you're drawing, even if it's practice, to zoom in. Zoom in when you're coloring. Don't zoom in when you're sketching, because then you lose sight of the proportion of your figure here. If you need to, just squint. That would be your quote-unquote zooming. Oh, beans. Yeah, it looks almost close. Oh, it's not accurate. There we go. Of course, there's like a crease here, but I'm not gonna put that much detail. I don't think I'm supposed to at the moment because this is just structural study and it's not a detail study. I feel like my anatomy usually turns out better on paper than digital, even though you feel like it should be opposite with the tools digital has. Yeah, digital allows for a lot of shortcuts, but it's not going to shortcut everything for you. You still have to, like, put in the work. Put in the work of training your eye. I think I made her foot too long? That's okay. This is a mistake. Just chalk it up as a mistake. But yeah, you can't rely on digital to solve all your problems. You have to take a look at what you're doing and figure out what's going on there. Straight down. And I remember a time where I just would never draw feet because I was just terrible at it. I just refused to draw feet. Because drawing toes is a nightmare. But then I opened a good old anatomy book and it said, like, hey, toes are easy. They're just steps. Think of it as stairs. Like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You get better at feet, but it's embarrassing to do feet study. Don't let the internet make you cringe, bro. I know that's like the running joke about feet, but you really should learn how to draw them. Because people will eventually see your weaknesses. cool beans. Welcome to the stream, Lemay. Yes, you need to draw shoes more too. You love the look of shiny leather shoes. You really want to learn how to draw them. Oh yeah. There's this artist that I saw. I don't know their origin, but they draw really nice shiny leather shoes. I think they're school shoes. They look very realistic. But I forget who they are at the moment. Because it's been a while since I've seen their art. I think I saw them on... what was it? Domburu? I'm sure there's a Twitter link somewhere, but at the moment it escapes me. I'm also pretty sure they have a Pixiv. Maybe that's why I follow them on Pixiv. I suppose when it comes to drawing feet, learn the gesture of the foot first, and then the shapes, that is the structure of the foot, and then everything else should follow suit. But of course, it doesn't hurt to, you know, crack open an anatomy book, get some semblance of an idea of how to do it. Feet are just like hands. They have the boxiness of the bone, but they also have the softness of the pads. And also for a long time I couldn't draw hands because that was also incredibly difficult. But when I learned that, hey, just focus on the bones, then it all fell into place. Just correcting this knee that I drew. I don't know why my leg looks ridiculously straight. Maybe because I can't see the top of the leg. This is just all the back of the leg. This is strange. Not strange. Is a small dip and it goes up. Still think this might be a bit too long, but practice is practice. Eventually I'll get better at this. Dismiss. Is also a dismiss. Oh, oops. I mean to do it like that. I meant to, well, I still meant to curve it in, just not that extremely. I wish I had this level of control when I was drawing at my easel. So when I draw at my easel, it's never quite clean. Keep messing up this thumb. You want to do more paints and stuff? I'm considering doing a painting course, but I want to master the drawing course first. Master the cheaper course before you move on to the more expensive stuff. Because learning how to paint is an expensive endeavor. But I'll get there someday, just not today. In the meantime, I can practice painting digitally, which is turning out fairly well. Price. Like my instructor said, like the best paintbrush you can afford is a charcoal pencil, and the best canvas you can afford is newsprint. And when you master those, you can essentially teach yourself how to paint with those two things. And the cost isn't like an arm and a leg. An arm and a leg and your firstborn child. It should be a bit lower. Does that match my head measurement? I think I shortened it a bit. Let's see. This chin should match the shoulder height. Yeah. Not bad. Okay, I just wanna look at what I did so far. I'm gonna, just for the heck of it, put in the dimpling of the sacrum. Not that important, but I like to put it in. Let's see. So I think overall, I think this was my best attempt so far. However, I realized this side of their hip is actually narrow. This should actually be thicker. So I'm going to do some corrections. Just want to take notice of things. I was measuring a lot more this session, though. Yeah. This side should be smaller than this side. It still doesn't look as big. I think that's the problem I had last time. Actually, let me check my previous work and see what I did there. Let me just see. Point of comparison. Yeah, the last one was too short. That's why the torso did not work. And the sizing from before was a bit more accurate. me see my other fails. Yeah, even with my fails, I made that side really big. This one is very big. This one was too low, but still fairly big. Okay. I'm gonna size up and see how that compares. And then I'm gonna, what time is it? I'm gonna wrap up in about 15 minutes. Oh, this should be a bit more subtle. Let me get a quick check. Let's see, it does look bigger. It's still not quite right. Maybe I got the angle wrong. Let me just check. Should match up with the top of her right shoulder. Okay, I'll use my stylus to measure. Still not quite high enough. A quick tip: if you have to make a correction, don't flat out erase it. Put the corrected line in first and then erase your mistake. Just pick measure. This is especially true for traditional artists out there. It's a lot more accurate now. So I do feel like the knee is a bit too small. It might be on the other side. It is in shadow, so yeah, this looks mysterious to me. Now that I look at it, it's very thin. But I have to keep in mind the foreshortening of the calf. I'm just gonna extend it a bit more. Same with the calf muscle as well. This is why squinting at your reference is such a good idea. Also, if you're drawing from real life, use your pencil to measure the head, and you'll see it should match the size of the foot of your model. So one thing I know, the head, forearm, and the foot share the same length. And if you don't believe me, you can use your own foot to measure your forearm. hand should also be relatively the size of the head, sort of. Hands are a bit iffy because the hand could be relatively the size of the face, but that's not quite the size of the head. Enable this tool. Should actually be more here. Since I'm almost done, I'm just gonna use it to fix my correction. Fix my mistake. And I should be done. Do that again. I realize this foot is too long. Angle is correct. Maybe it could also be this again. When drawing in real life, you end up measuring a lot more than if you did with photo or digitally. You should definitely measure with a photo. Also, another hot tip, since I know most people have smartphones, you should take up photography, even if your beginner camera is your phone. And by doing so, you would be training your eye to get good compositions. And once you have a good idea of what your composition should be, your art will turn out better as well. That's something I've been doing since the latter half of last year. I've been learning how to take photos. At first, I did it with my phone, and then I was gifted a DSLR camera, and I've been learning how to just take pictures while I'm out walking around my city. And I've been learning how to focus. I've been learning how to frame my image, and the photos are getting better and better. I'm not saying they're great, but they are getting to that point where I'm getting a idea of how I want the image to look. And once I get better at that skill, eventually I'll have a better idea of composition in general, which will reflect in my art. But I think I also learned composition traditionally, in a sense, by learning how to place this figure onto the page by measuring how tall the pose is, how much of the space of the canvas I want to draw. Like, this is the reason why there's two lines at the top and the bottom of this canvas. And why I put a crosshair in the middle, because that's the center of the canvas. And to a degree, the pose should hit that mark, or relatively to that mark. And everything will become relative in place. And that's how you get your image in. So composition is something you should consider. You can consider it with photography, or if that's too much, I would recommend, if you're a digital artist, using the grid tool. Sorry, the guide tool. There, it should be one. Where did I put it? Here. View grid. So in the toolbar, go to View, drop down menu, hit grid, and it should show you this grid, and you can use all these little squares as a means of measuring. Of course, with a camera, it will show you a 3x3 grid, which is a lot easier to understand because you can see where everything is filled out, especially whatever you're framing. Let me go back to the foot because I'm collecting it at this point. Oh my goodness, my nose. Excuse me. Now this shadow should be... Yep. Now it's correct. Before this shadow was just not reaching its goal. Okay, with that, there's like basically 5 minutes left. No, not even. There's 3 minutes left. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think I'll go back to this. Actually, today is Wednesday. I should have been studying my head. Tomorrow I'll be drawing something else, basically. Hello, Dharma. Just passing by. You're super late. I think it's morning for Dharma. It's very early in the morning for them. Tomorrow I'm going to be drawing a head. I believe it is... I can never find my stuff. Let's see what place. Files are always organized. Now. It didn't used to be. I'm going to be studying this again. I know it looks really nice, but I didn't quite capture the tilts of this statue. So I'm going to draw it again tomorrow. Oh, I did this last week. I'm going to draw it again tomorrow, and I'm going to see if I got a better grasp of it. Also, I realized I messed up his hair. His hair's not correct. I just shifted everything to the right. Yeah, I wasn't really paying much attention. But, yeah. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow. We'll be working on this head. I'm hoping that I can improve and pay attention to the hair. Probably be going home to finish what you need to do and then going straight to sleep. Okay. Alright then. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Same time, same place. Until we meet again, take care and stay safe out there. Bye-bye now.